about vital behaviors. First one is about inviting, probably the most critical of them all. In your business, you've done a great job of developing a base of Success Club achievers, kind of in line with the leadership ladder. Talk a little bit about how you developed a culture of people who develop or who achieve Success Club 5 and then duplicated that. That question makes sense.
How do I create a culture of Success Club? So I think it starts with me. As the leader, I have to definitely lead by example, and that's one thing that I'm really good at is I practice what I preach every single day. You know, I'm doing the workouts, I'm drinking my Shakeology, I am, you know, inviting people to join my challenge groups. I still run challenge groups every single month, sometimes 2 a month. And so because I'm doing that, I'm able to teach my team, hey, this is what I said, this is what worked for me, or, you know, this is the wording I use that I tend to get the most yes responses. And by me constantly sharing that and walking that walk and talking that talk, you know, my coaches duplicate the energy. And then also too, when you hit a month where you have maybe a rough patch where you feel like you're inviting everybody under the sun and it's objection after objection, I'm able to say, hey guys, this is normal. I'm feeling the same thing. Hang in there, try this, do this differently. And so when you as the leader are constantly, you know, in the trenches, as we would say, doing what we want our coaches to do, they're gonna follow your lead. So that for me is exactly what I do.
Hey Jeff, just as a follow-up to that, you know, often I talk to coaches and they say, you know, I'm bringing coaches in, but I just can't get them to do anything. And you know, and part of being an elite coach, one of the criteria by which you earn elite points is not just you qualifying for Success Club, but having your personally sponsored coaches, and particularly your new personally sponsored coaches, also qualifying for Success Club. So I'm curious. I want to point it at Bonnie. Bonnie, you know, kind of started strong. What were the things that you did to bring in new coaches and not just bring them in, but also to get them into that Success Club activity, similar to what Melanie just talked about?
Yeah, and I feel like...
Hello, testing.
I feel like we have a tendency as coaches, once you hit a certain level and you start to focus on, okay, now I need to be a leader, so I probably need to do things differently to try to communicate this to them. And I constantly hear kind of what Michael said, well, I'm doing the things, but I can't get my coaches to do the things too. But the most important thing is that you keep it super simple. And if you think about what are the simple activities that you did, because you're all in this room, so you all clearly hit Success Club, think of those really simple activities that you did to hit Success Club, and then just simply recreate them for your coaches. Just share exactly what you were doing. The most important thing is to keep it simple, and it's not much more complicated than that. Everyone hears leadership, and you have to help your coaches do something, and all of a sudden we have a tendency to overthink everything, but it's really just those fundamentals shared in a way that's mirroring exactly what you're doing.
So Melissa, down at the far end, you became a coach how long ago?
7 years.
So you've been for 7 years.
7 years, yes.
One of the things that I remarked about your business is this is your 4th time as an Elite 10 coach. You're not a coach that I would refer to as one that has achieved Success Club 100 every month. Yet you've been very consistent. You have a very, very strong organization over those last 7 years. What do you keep doing? Some people might assume that, hey, I've stopped. I don't have to invite anymore because I'm in the business. I've established myself. So what does your daily routine look like to achieve Success Club? Or did you leave it there?
Daily routine for me to hit Success
Yeah.
Club? Or, it's kind of, Melanie has always put it really well for us, but it's that marketing plan. So when I know something is going to be on sale, and so I always will, not even knowing what that is, but I tell myself, okay, I need to promote that at the very beginning of the month, which allows me, I usually give myself about a week or a week and a half to advertise that, so that I get Success Club hopefully the beginning of the month, so that I don't stress about it. And then we get that challenge group going at the end of the month. And I hold a challenge group every single month. I have for 7 years. I hold my challenge groups only for 30 days. I leave the group open So if they want to continue to support each other, they can. But for me, I move on to the next challenge group because it takes 21 days to make or break a habit. So I'm giving them 30 days of my undivided attention, and then I move on to the next group. And so I just continually keep doing that, making sure that I advertise at the beginning, get Success Club by the middle of the month, and really start diving into those people so that the next month I can start promoting again for the next challenge.
You know, when we talk about inviting and the, that vital behavior, I mean, that's such a big spectrum of activity inviting. I mean, it really starts from just starting to, you know, increase your exposure, all the way to getting people into challenge groups and getting them results. That's kind of the whole responsibility of the inviting process. And I know that for most of the 10 of you on here, that front end of that, of attracting people, is something that I think all of you now have pretty large social followings. And when you build that large social following, it becomes kind of an attraction engine that starts making it a little bit easier to invite people, you know, to source those people to come into your challenge groups. But I want to, so let me direct this at Lindsay, okay? Go back in time, like, so way back, not what you're doing now, but when you first got started to start to build that social engine. What were the key activities that you did, the simple key activities that you would consistently do to start building that engine however many years ago?
So just so you guys know, sorry about my voice ahead of time, I don't actually usually talk, I type. So I'm gonna find out I don't have much of a voice. But I started out my Facebook with 126 friends. I remember going back in my timeline and it actually told me how many I had. And I didn't have people that, you know, really followed my journey with the fitness side, a bunch of dudes basically, and I knew that wasn't my niche market. But I would say like the number one thing that I did really well in the beginning is deciding who I wanted to be part of my team. Coming from like a hospitality world, you never got to choose who you worked with. And so I worked with a lot of people I didn't really like. And I decided with this is my first opportunity that I get to pick who I work with. And I think oftentimes with coaches, they are like so worried about not attracting people that they're like, I'll take anyone, just please join my team. You're convincing them to join. And so I decided to create like a brand of what I wanted my team to look like. Who was I speaking to? And I didn't necessarily have those people as friends yet. So for me, it was women who were where I used to be, even before I ever had done P90X. So a new mom who had lost herself in the whole pregnancy, maybe felt out of control. You know, she thought that, well, okay, I'm a new mom, but what else am I? Who am I? And so I would speak to that person with my Facebook wall, my post, but then I also started to think, where do they hang out? So when I was going through my pregnancy, I don't know about you guys, but I was the first of all my friends to get pregnant. And so I would go on these different message boards and I would make friends with some of those people. And so I started to ask them, hey, are you guys on Facebook at all? And some of them would send me their link and I would request them. Or I would think, okay, what do new moms do? We get our babies photographs. So I would go to photographers that specialized in family photos or that specialized in newborn photos. And I would see all the new people that they were putting on their wall every day of their cute, adorable baby photos. And it's easy for me to give a great compliment on an adorable baby or a sweet family, and then friend request that person and say, hey, I saw you shot with Sandra last weekend. How was she? I was considering shooting with her as well in the future. And that's an easy conversation starter. And I knew that that person likely is in the same place as I was. I also joined a mom's church group at my church locally, and then I also joined moms groups on Facebook that had nothing to do with anywhere locally, because I knew I also am an introvert, so I don't want to be meeting face to face all the time. I was never going to be the girl that goes on meetup.com and goes on stroller rides. That's just not who I am. So come to find out, there's lots of moms just like me who didn't want to be face to face with people. They wanted to be face to face with their little girl, and that little girl over there, I got to, use as my way to connect with people and other moms to say, like, I want to be present with my daughter. And as I started to build the business, I shared my why and who I was looking for, and that really just naturally attracted people.
Awesome. Amy, if I could ask you kind of the same question. So, big social media, where were you when you got started in this business and just kind of learning the ropes, and how did you start to build this big social engine that you have right now?
Well, I was kind of one of those people that I really struggled with people. I specifically seeked out a career where I'd sit behind a computer screen. I'm actually an introvert, despite what people may think. I just have an outgoing personality, which is very different. But I had, my upline was telling us, like, whatever it takes, like, you've got to talk to at least 3 people a day. And I was a full-time student, full-time waitress. I didn't have time to sit in front of the computer all day. I didn't have a smartphone back then. Like, the internet was not what it is today. And so I would literally, I had the 3-foot rule. So if I was on the bus and you were sitting next to me, I talked to you. If we were in the grocery store and you were next to me getting veggies, I talked to you. And my goal was always to get, connected with them by the end of that 3 minutes. And I did it the old school way of just like, talking to people while I built my social media, because guys, it's the long game. Like, social media, don't bank on it. Like, don't expect to have people knocking down your door your first 3 years. It took me like 3 years to build my social media to where it is today. And if I had waited for people to come to me for those first 3 years, I would not have been a top 10 coach my 3rd year. So, it's really important that while you're building your social media, while you're doing all the things that Lindsay talked about, that you are getting out of your comfort zone and you are learning how to be a conversationalist. I remember, I think it was Danielle Natoni, I remember reading when I was a new coach, she made a post one time about like uncross your arms, get off your phone, and look up and talk to people. And so I was like, oh, it's so simple, but like so duh. So that's what I started doing. I stopped burying my face in my phone, and I started making eye contact with people and touching people and just being like a human in everyday life, and got off my phone, and lo and behold, like, people want to connect. Like, people need connection. So there's so many ways to connect with people if you're just focused on building that relationship instead of like making the sale. And I think just that, that really worked for me my first couple of years until I built my social media and really figured out the whole attraction marketing thing, which was my focus, because I saw Lindsay and I was like, I want that. How do I do that? And so I just, I focused on building that following while I was hitting Success Club and building my team and doing all the behaviors that Bonnie talked about that are super simple, but you can't go into management mode. You've got to continue learning and growing. So.
Okay, Alyssa and Anita, just 2 questions. First is, Success Club is a little bit, and recruiting is a bit of a numbers game. You have to invite so many people in order to have actually customers sign up, new coaches sign up. In your businesses, have you kind of figured out what that formula kind of looks like to say, I need to invite so many in order to get this many into my business? And then the second question after that is consistency. Lots of times we talk about consistency, but what does consistency really look like on a daily basis in your business? So maybe the first one, if you've got a formula for that, and then the second, consistency.
Okay, so I really don't have a formula for that. I'm not a huge recruiter. So being a top 10 coach, I know a lot of times you look and you think we have to recruit a ton of people. I'm not a huge recruiter. I probably recruit about 15 coaches every month. If I could figure out how to do 40 plus, I would.
Only 15?
Okay, well, compared to like other numbers, I really don't recruit that many. So
Everyone in the room started sweating.
Okay. But
Okay, consistency.
consistency. Okay, so what does your day look like on a daily basis? For me, it's getting up. I do my devotional every morning, and then I listen to personal development, and then I read personal development as well. Personal development is what has changed my entire life. So that's really how I start my day, and then after that I go to my emails and my messages, and then I start forming relationships with people. On social media, just as Lindsay had said, going into those groups, I go onto different like pages, nothing having to do with fitness, and I build relationships with people there. I try to do at least 10 just forming of new people every single day. And then I go into my invites, so as you're forming people every day, you're gonna have more people that you can invite. So you kind of have this system, right, this funnel, and then I start to invite every day. And I probably invite like 10 people, sometimes 15 people a day, and then my emails, my messages. And I just think the biggest part of all of this is like my business is still 80% of what I do is still my business. I have a pretty big team, but the 20% is then working with my team. And I think that's one thing that I just want to make really clear is that no matter where you're at, nobody is going to build your business for you. It's just still like, you put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you put it on your children. It's the same thing having to do with your business. So just kind of like my little takeaway there. I think sometimes people go to diamond or maybe start diamond and then you fall back because of the fact that you go into this management mode and you don't continue to build your business in the background.
Okay, so you asked how many people you typically invite. What would be a good number? I've always told my team 1 in 30 are going to probably say yes, maybe. So think about that number. So if you want to recruit higher numbers and you want to see higher Success Club numbers, who here wants higher Success Club numbers? Okay, well then 1 in 30, if you're inviting 2 a day, is that enough? No. So you need to think about, okay, I'm going to be honest, you don't need to do this, but in my second year I invited 30 a day. And that's a lot, but I wanted higher Success Club numbers. So I mean, that's just putting it out there. As far as inviting and how I do it now, I don't necessarily private message invite anymore. I follow a system, and I have a video on YouTube, and I strategically plan my month every single month the same way, and I've done it the same way for 3.5 years. And I promote certain things every single time, same time every month, to kind of cast a net and get people interested so I can get quality conversations going, so I'm not just poking in the dark, inviting people. And sometimes, you guys, you have to understand, when you are doing this in the beginning as a new coach, it may not work the first 6 months. And it didn't work for me the first 6 months. But after month 7 of the same people, and then I'm actually, adding to my network, they're seeing this over and over again. Oh, this new coach sneak peek. Oh, this challenge group. Oh, this free clean eating group. She's doing it every single month without fail. I'm gonna finally say yes, and I'm gonna go hop in there. And then from that, that's where I get these really quality conversations going with great people. And so I am a well-oiled machine, and I don't let up off that machine at all. I stay very consistent on that. And I no longer do the 1 in 30, but I no longer do 30 people a day I'm inviting, but I'm talking and having really quality conversations with 30 to 40 people every 2 to 3 days. So, you just finding a well-oiled machine to work with, and that takes trial and error over time.
So, Megan, I have a question for you. So, you're a busy mom, got a full day, and we know that these vital behaviors are vital and you're supposed to do them every day. How do you manage to fit them into your day and stay consistent with the activity? And if it's a struggle, it's okay to say that too.
It's a struggle. No, you just tie the baby on and go. Yeah, I mean, I'm not the most organized person. My team knows that, but I make sure I get my vital behaviors done every single day and make sure that it's a priority and that all the distractions are completely turned off, because I don't have, that luxury to just do it throughout the day. I gotta change diapers, I gotta get snacks, it's just crazy. And you guys who are moms, just, so, just first thing in the morning, making sure personal development, inviting, I do the same. It's funny when you got to me, like everybody else has said what I would say. I have 80% on my business, 20% on my team, and just a lot of personal conversation every single day. And along those lines, with your social media, I do actually still do a lot of personal inviting, because my social media doesn't grow unless I'm personally reaching out to people, because that's kind of how Facebook works. So again, like Amy said, don't wait for people to come to you. We're a relationship building business, and that's a huge, huge part of this. And you have to make sure you're talking to a lot of people personally.
Can I ask, did that come naturally for you,
No.
or was it something that you struggled with? And
No.
if so, how did you get over it?
Yeah, it's just kind of like that practice makes perfect thing, The first invite is so awkward. It's like, so how's the weather? What are you doing today?
But a little tip I want to share, you know, if you're working on a like page, like I do, I've been building a like page for a long time. A very simple conversation starter is, hey, thank you for liking my page. We must share an interest in health and fitness. Do you mind if I ask you, are you working on any goals right now? So like, you're not beating around the bush, like, how's the weather? What's your kid's name? It gets right to the point. Obviously, they like your page because they share that interest. They see what you're doing, and you know, I encourage my coaches, don't share everything health and fitness, but that's that common ground. I mean, that's what we do. So they already know that, and it just makes it less awkward. So I kind of, it's such a simple thing, but I figured it out like down the road after I got so tired of asking about the weather.
Let me ask Raina kind of the same question. One, you know, you started, you learned about the vital behaviors. How long did it take you to figure it out? How did you figure it out, and how do you work that into your day, every day?
For me, I said this 100 times on calls, so I'm sorry if I repeat myself, but I was an all-in coach from day one. I ranked advanced emerald really quickly, like, Mom, Brett, you're now coaches, congratulations. Hit diamond fairly quickly, but I was a diamond for 9 months, and it was because, just like all of them have already said, I went into this management mode where I stopped recruiting as many people. I wanted the people I had to be more successful than they wanted for themselves, and I was just dragging them along. And so I also didn't do personal development for the first year of my business either. Like, I don't need that, I'm happy, like, I don't need that picking me up. But at that point, after I stalled or plateaued for 9 months, I had actually started talking to corporate, and they're like, okay, you know, I wanted to push for top 10, I wanted 15 star, I wanted all these big goals, but I had to step back and look at what I was doing now, and I knew that it wasn't going to get me there. So I immediately, I think I even went up to Amy Silverman at one point, and I was like, what do you do? Like, what's your secret? And she was like, I just stay in phase 1. And so that's like been my mindset since I've talked to her, just doing the workouts, drinking Shakeology, being present on social media every single day, no matter what. Buy the Wi-Fi here, like, you need to be present on social media. But then just digging into personal development and upping the number of people that I talk to. I went from recruiting, you know, 5 people a month to 15 to 20, and just by, you know, literally talking to 30 people a day, like Anita said. So just stepping up my game.
So Brittany Powers down there, you've had a great